Hello, I'm Chase Carrington, and welcome to the Chase Carrington Show. Today, I have some thoughts on a Christian innovator and influencer who died yesterday, and that is Billy Graham. I'll get into that in just a minute. And then, of course, fast thoughts coming at you fast. That's when I have 90 seconds to articulate a thought or idea or opinion on a certain topic. I have quite a few very interesting fast thoughts waiting for you today. And then today we also have the Chase Chat. Of course, the monologue where I talk about a certain topic to help you start thinking in a Christian perspective and hopefully encourage those who watch the Chase Carrington Show. So I'm Chase Carrington, and welcome to the Chase Carrington Show. Let's get right started. Or let's get started right now. So yesterday, Billy Graham went home to the Lord. His impact has resonated for over half a century, and as a young person who doesn't really know much about his ministry or has not been super acquainted with his ministry, although I've seen the fruits of some of his ministry, I want to lay out my take on his life and legacy for those like me who maybe just due to their age just don't know much about Billy Graham, or maybe just were not reached by him directly. So I want to definitely talk about my take on Billy Graham, mainly from a lot of the commemorative material, but also from people I know as well about Billy Graham and just my quick take on him. And my first point is he was an innovator. He definitely did stuff differently, and that is the main key to his success as a cultural and public figure. He used new mediums, from the radio to the internet. He used music sometimes, not himself as far as I know, but he would bring artists, both Christian and non-Christian, to help and amplify his message by having the artists there, have them play music. Then he'd headline the event by sharing the gospel. Also by using celebrities in a way that is unusual, and like getting on celebrity shows and meeting with a lot of celebrities, including influential political figures. Now here's another thing, and he was also an influencer. He was an influencer to pastors, presidents, and major global and cultural figures. But at the same time, he was able to influence the lives of just the average person who would come to his massive, massive events. And all of this adds up to his amazing influence. I mean, he was named most liked, I feel like I'm phrasing that wrong, but 57 times over his lifetime. That is over years. And it's really amazing how long his ministry of sorts has lasted, and how long it has had an impact, and how it still carries on today. Like one of the articles you'll see in the description is by Christianity Today, which is a ministry that he started, and it is a very long tribute issue to Billy Graham, but I think that's the best way to get a full picture, and definitely suggest reading that along with the other article I have in the description. Now, lastly, my third point is he was human. And I mean this in two ways. One, he was very humble. From all I can tell and from everything I've heard, he was very humble despite his success and fame. And his humility was a key part to his success, pointing to the gospel, pointing to Jesus as much as he could. And of course he's human because he's not perfect. And I would like to say this about every Christian figure in history. whether it be Billy Graham or Spurgeon or Tyndale. No one is perfect except Jesus. And that's going to be the case. There will be places we disagree with everyone, no matter how great of an impact they had on Christianity at large. And I think that is important to state for all these Christian influencers and innovators. So altogether, I hope that Billy Graham's legacy will continue to impact for as long as possible, and I hope that he brings more people to God and more Christians together. And I hope that his ministries will continue on and will continue to impact Christians and non-Christians everywhere. So now, shifting from that tone, we are getting into fast thoughts. And fast thoughts is the part of the show where I get to articulate an idea, an opinion, or a topic in 90 seconds. Now, I don't know, the timer isn't working, not how I had it set up last time, so I'm just gonna have to use my phone right here. I'm just gonna set up my phone, and I will have 90 seconds to talk about a certain topic, and I have some really good ones in here too. Let's get started with fast thought number 1. Well, I was just thinking, and I was just realizing something. Okay, so what happened? I was thinking just what got me down? What made me anxious? What kind of stressed me? And then just something hit me. I'm like, wow, this is not just affecting me. This is affecting everybody in my generation. And that is the fact that what is getting millennials down and those is too many options. Yes, I said too many options. Because the thing is, if you look at it, right now, I've looked at my life and realized the stuff that is getting me down is too many options. Too many options in school, too many options in careers, too many paths in life, too many options. And I'd go as far to say even options in religion, even options in life. All of these, there's so many options in this world. And I think it is important, so important to state that one option we should all choose, and that is Christ. That is the option that I choose, and that is how I'm going to narrow down all my other options in life, by going to Jesus, to going to the Holy Spirit, and finding where my path lies throughout all that sea of options that our world provides us. So don't let your many options get you down. Okay, that's fast thought number 1. Now on to the next fast thought. This one's going to be really, really fun, so I'm going to kind of divide this up here. This next one is my Black Panther review. And I saw it just yesterday, so this is fresh in my mind. And I even do have a few points here that I want to hit on. I hope I can do this in 90 seconds. If not, I want to give you the full review. Spoiler-free, of course, or at least I'll avoid spoilers. And yeah, so let's have fun with this. The Black Panther review, the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Black Panther, it seems like it's going to be a big box office success, but how was the movie? Let's figure out in this fast thought, starting now. Okay, first take, just to preface everything else, I think Black Panther, in my opinion, is probably the most violent Marvel movie I've seen, at least of late. Winter Soldier was pretty intense in a lot of ways, but Black Panther, mainly due to there being not too many guns and a lot of hand-to-hand combat, it's just some of the scenes were shot. It was a little intense in many different places, and the main villain, Killmonger, is a rather intense character, which makes him kind of interesting. It makes him a very fierce and ruthless bad guy. Speaking of Killmonger, he's kind of the star of this project. Now, here's the thing. This is not going to be all about Black Panther, about T'Challa. He's in there. He's kind of the guide of the story in a lot of ways. He centers, but the story in so many ways centers more around Killmonger and Wakanda than it does around Black Panther. It's almost like Killmonger is kind of the main character of Black Panther. And it is an interesting setup because, I mean, almost all the pivotal moments of the movie center around Killmonger. And you don't even go too much into the past of T'Challa, the Black Panther. You go more into the past of Killmonger. You learn more about his decisions, his life, his opinion. It's not bad. It's actually a very emotional story. And actually, I'm going to go over my fast thoughts here because I want to give you a full review here. So, Killmonger, I think, was kind of the star of the movie. Not just he showed him. I don't know if he had more screen time or not, but he in every inch of screen time he owned it, and I thought it was really good. Michael B. Jordan was pretty good at the acting, and he was ruthless. Killmonger lives up to the name. He was ruthless, but at the same time, he was almost a sympathetic character. It was designed that way, it seemed, to make him somehow sympathetic, because even at the end of the movie, he became a very sympathetic character. Now, another thing we're going to move on into, here's the world. The world was detailed. It was pretty detailed. I mean, you get to get a peek of what Wakanda's capable of, the technology they had, but it was kind of short-lived. I mean, we got to see a lot of aspects of Wakanda, but not very much of kind of the down-on-the-streets level. Only just like a few scenes were shot in the kind of just streets of Wakanda or the fields of Wakanda. Most of the scenes happened around like the science, I don't know if there's a name for it, science administration, whatever, the science lab, and then of course the throne room, the mining facility, military facility, stuff like that. We didn't actually get to see very much of the day-to-day people of Wakanda. I mean, we saw some of them, but it wasn't really that much compared to, say, Thor Ragnarok, where we saw a little bit of Sakaar, a little bit of the kind of the day-to-day, a little bit, but again, not so much. Now, here's the next thing, though. It was less an origin story, and I'm going to go back to my first point. This is not centered on Black Panther, in my opinion. I think it is a more of a welcome to Wakanda movie. I think, for starters, they're trying to set up Wakanda as being a pivotal part of the Infinity Wars. So it's really just a way to it's almost like more of a story arc for Wakanda than is a story arc for Black Panther. It's more, okay, Wakanda's here, they're hidden, no one knows about them except like a few people, and we need to bring them out so they can play a bigger role on the Marvel Universe stage. And I felt like that was the more overarching story arc, because in the end, it didn't really matter so much what happened. It was just kind of different political stuff happened. I mean, and of course, fighting and stuff like that. But then it was really designed to just kind of bring Wakanda to the point where, they can play a larger role on the stage. And I hope that's pretty spoiler-free. If not, I'm sorry. I hope you've seen it already. And that's pretty much my review. I went really over on the fast thoughts there. Sorry about that. But all the same, it was a pretty good movie. It's definitely worth seeing. I mean, it's an MCU movie. It was enjoyable. But here's my verdict when it comes to Thor Ragnarok versus Black Panther. Black Panther, it was a good movie. It was okay to watch and all that. But when I left the theater, Thor Ragnarok, I'm like, that was enjoyable. I loved it. I want to see it again. I didn't get that feeling for Black Panther. I'm not saying it's inferior. I'm not saying the writing or anything's inferior. It might just be the type. I mean, Black Panther was a little more dramatic, kind of, I don't want to say political drama, but it's in there. And then you have Thor Ragnarok, which was it didn't take itself too seriously, but it mixed in some really good moments in it. So it's kind of a matter of opinion there, but that's my verdict on that last one. Okay, one last fast thought, and that is my mission statement. Okay, my mission statement is, I'll just say it right now, to train my generation to look at the world through a consistently crisp perspective then change the world one person at a time. I thought this was really important to articulate because I was just watching some course and stuff about YouTube, and I think that articulating a mission statement, articulating the goal, the direction is so important. And now I have that in my YouTube description, but I also want to keep that in mind when I do these shows and all this. This is my goal. I'm going to start trimming down my messages and my topics to go towards this goal, to really get you to look at the world through consistently Christian perspective, everything from movies to major events, but mainly just kind of the principled, basic day-to-day stuff. And I want to look through that through the lens of the Bible, through Christianity, through Christ. And once you got that perspective, then you will be able to use your talents and your skills to change the world, to change it one person at a time, that you can reach and bring just a little bit closer to God. And I hope that I can equip you to do that. And if you have a way, comment below if you want to recommend some ways I can help you do that better. Okay, that is the last fast thought. Thank you for joining me for these fast thoughts. If you want my opinion, or if you have a question or an idea that you want me to talk about in 90 seconds or less, actually just exactly 90 seconds, comment below. So that's my fast thoughts. Again, you are watching the Chase Carrington Show live or recorded. So let's continue on with my Chase chat. So let's talk about the new Christian generation. Now, I kind of did this Chase chat a few weeks ago, but I had some major video issues, and I don't think that many people ended up watching it because of those issues, and I didn't end up recutting and republishing the segments. So I decided I'm just going to represent it, and then I kind of added some new ideas and new clarity to this topic as well. Many disparage the new Christian generation, but is it true? I mean, is it really so? Is it true to that we are just going to leave the church in droves, or even when we're in the church, we're just going to be lukewarm and spend our times on our iPhones all the time? Well, I'm going to evaluate that, and I'm going to just present it in a way that is, of course, for the Christian generation, but at the same time, I want to be realistic and say there are ways that could make us all stumble. And I think it's tough to generalize on for any generation, but still, I want to present this so representing as many of us as possible. So let's talk about what might stop us. What could make us stumble? What could make us fall away from the church, or make us become weak Christians that are not effective in changing the world? Well, let's start with our world's just permeated with darkness. It seems to come in at all borders. And everything, all the media, all events, and so much in education, just this world is full of different evils, and it's all around us. And if we let ourselves get caught up and mystified by those evils, we may not win. We may not be effective Christians, or we may not be Christians at all. And again, another possible stumbling block is letting the secular culture set our morals. And we cannot let this happen. We have the Bible. That is the book that sets it all. That is the book that will set our groundwork for not just our morals, but our faith, our belief, our perception of the world. And to have that and then decide on some man-made morals, or man-made virtue signaling, or man-made ideas of goodness, I say, why forsake a God-given word for a convenient and dull set of morals or goodness? And I think if we let that set our morals as Christians, we will become ineffective and we will change nobody. And if we don't adapt our methods, and I'm not talking adapting our message, at least not the core of it. I'm talking our methods of presenting. And as I talked about Billy Graham earlier, just we need to be able to adapt to the parts of our world that are not affected and can be redeemed, like what I'm doing now, social media, YouTube, so many other things. But if we don't adapt, if we don't change some of our methods and some of our perspectives on different technologies, we may not be able to reach certain people. Certain people will remain in the dark, not knowing anything about God or His Word. And as I said earlier, and this is why I think that recutting this one might be a little bit tough, too many choices. That is what could stop us. And I'm going to come back to this again. If we let ourselves hesitate, like, okay, I can be a preacher, or I could be a worship leader, or I could be a missionary, or we have a lot of choices. But we need to realize we need to stop and pray and contemplate and just talk with the Lord and decide and deliberate. But at the same time, we need to be decisive. There are many choices out there. And my choice right now is to be here with you, spreading this word with you. But this may not be my choice a day, a week, a year from now. But it is now. And that is my choice. This is what God has led me to do. And we need to be able to go to God and say, we have a lot of choices. We have a lot of options. Help us find them. Because if we have so many choices and we are always spending all of our time and energy ministering in this area, ministering in that area, but we don't put our efforts towards just one concerted area, we won't be effective in our witnessing, in our ministry, in our life. So here are the reasons why we have a good chance of dominating and being able to revive this world, to bring revival and to change this world for Christ. And that is, our world is permeated by darkness. And yes, I did just list this earlier in the possible stumbling blocks. Do you know why? Because while this could be a disadvantage, it can also be a strength. Because when a world is surrounded by so much darkness, do you know what happens? Is the light shines even brighter than if it was in daylight. And I think that is so important to kind of turn that on its head, to make it look like it is kind of a positive. That means, it's dark outside right now. If I go outside with the flashlight, it's going to be really bright. Even if it's dead and running on dead AAA batteries, it's still going to be bright as long as it's dark. So even the weakest light can still bring people to Jesus. And here's another reason that we have a chance in this time, in this place, and that is our world doesn't satisfy. Our world doesn't satisfy. You can see, I've been told about just so many millennials and others are like, okay, we got the social media. Yeah, we're famous now. We're doing this, or we're doing that, or we have this lifestyle choice and this lifestyle choice. I'm successful in this business, but they're not happy. They're not satisfied. They don't think the world's actually getting changed. They don't feel like they're doing enough. And they're not satisfied with their achievements, with their virtues, with their morals, and all of that. And again, this is, if they're hungering for something to satisfy them mentally, spiritually, and we have the answer, well, we need to consider that if our world does, we need to consider that if there's a hunger, but they're not coming, doesn't mean that there's something that we're doing wrong, something that we're not doing. So we need to realize that we have a chance here. We have a chance to capture those who are realizing this world doesn't satisfy and show them the real truth, to show them Christ in his love, to give them the gospel that saves from sin and gives everlasting life. So, I've talked about why we have a chance, why in this time we have a chance. Now let's talk about how we might succeed. How will we succeed? The reasons, the methods I was talking about that will help us succeed. And that is, the previous generation has to help us cultivate our faith. And now, I'm not trying to divide up around generational lines that much. I mean, I could kind of care less about age, but it's more the kind of generations where it's just the different methods and different mindsets that different generations tend to hold. So when I mean previous generations, I mean the generations that have who have presented Christianity in the way that it's been done. But they do have something that we don't, and that is extensive experience, extensive wisdom they've gained from years of ministering, years of preaching, and years of reading the Bible, and years of praying, and years of ministering. And we cannot forsake the old. I'm one of those people that I do not want to forsake everything. I do not want to boss the churches and go completely online. I believe that there's a place and a time for everything. And right now, I think that there can be a place for people like me, or maybe people like you, on YouTube or social media or on websites or blogs or whatever your platform is to minister. I'm just getting started, and I pray the Lord has something big in store for me. But this verse is what stood out for me when it's talking about the previous generation. And this is a very interesting promise in Psalms. It's posterity shall serve him. It shall be told of the Lord to the coming generation. That is Psalm 22:30 ESV. And it says God's not gonna neglect the coming generation. He's not going to. And I pray that this generation will not be forsaken. Not just do I pray, I know. Because the Lord is true to his promises. Now, let's talk about the next way we will succeed, and another way that we can help change the world for Christ, save many out there, encourage each other, and that is technology. And I'll harken back to earlier. Technology is definitely a thing that we can embrace. I'm doing it now. I hope that I'm blessing you through it. Technology could be a way to revolutionize ministry. And it's a way we can reach people, especially I see on YouTube, and this is just a general perspective, and this is not just a general look at YouTube, and I'm seeing a lot of thought, a lot of conversation, discussion going on YouTube, and especially stuff of life and philosophy and stuff like that going on YouTube. And if people are looking, I hope that it can be a place where it can help and where people can discuss. Now, social media, YouTube, if used right, if they can be redeemed, they can be used for the cause of Christ. I hope that I bless you right here. So, when it really comes down to it, when it really comes down to you and me, I doubt that a whole Christian generation will fail or succeed. It all comes down to what each person does with their life and faith. I, for one, want to be a part of the new Christian generation that will change the world, in part or in whole. And that's what I pray I've done here today. And that was my Chase Chat. I'm Chase Carrington, and you are watching the Chase Carrington Show. So now let's wrap things up. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you so much for watching the replay, if that's what you're doing right now. Thank you so much. I'm Chase Carrington. You're watching the Chase Carrington Show. I'd really appreciate if you would like. I would really appreciate if you would subscribe if you are new coming here. And comment below. I have one big question for you. Do you consider yourself to be a part of this Christian generation? Or are you one who believes that maybe there's not much hope for the new Christians coming up? I'd love to hear your perspective on it. And, of course, keep things civil in comments. You know, it's not a general rule, but it's a general rule here as of now. So thank you so much. You can come back next Thursday, 10-ish. I had some technical issues this time around, so it took a little bit for me to get things started. I want to do them earlier, but I don't know. It just always ends up being 10 or later. Eastern Standard Time, by the way. And I'll have to see what happens there. But Thursdays, I'm moving things to Thursdays instead of Fridays, because I want to start doing a video series that didn't really catch on before, but I want to try it again. And that is my Bible Explained video series, like little video essays explaining different Bible verses. I thought it was just fun to make, and was also kind of a school project too. So I am definitely going to try that again, and I hope that you'll come back and subscribe and check for that. You might see one Sunday. So I'm Chase Carrington, and you have been watching the Chase Carrington Show on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, and comment below if you have questions, thoughts, and you want to open discussion. Again, I'm Chase Carrington.